Welcome to Getting Sketchy Live, brought to you by thevirtualinstructor.com. And now, let's get sketchy.
Hello there, everyone. Matt here with thevirtualinstructor.com, and welcome to Gettin Sketchy Live, the greatest live broadcast in all of YouTube. I'm glad that you're joining us this evening as we took a break last week for Thanksgiving here in the United States, but we're back this week, and I'm not really sure what episode this is, Ashley. Is this 8?
This is 8. That's right. We've got 3 more, including tonight.
All right. So episode 8 of season 15 of Gettin Sketchy. What Gettin Sketchy is, for those of you who don't know, is either myself or Ashley. We try to create a drawing for you inside of 45 minutes. And we do it for the benefit of you. So you can learn and you can watch us sweat underneath these lights. And tonight I'm going to be doing the drawing here. Well, it's drawing / painting because we're going to be using watercolor pencils, a little bit of gouache, and some watercolor tonight to do this mushroom, which we'll take a look at in just a minute. But first of all, if you're watching this live on YouTube, there is a chat box. You can post questions or comments. If you do have a question or comment that's specifically directed at Ashley or I, we ask that you use the super chat function. Not only does that put your comment or question predominantly displayed at the top of the list, but it also goes to help out this channel a little bit. So we'd appreciate it if you did that. And I'm going to be working from a photo reference tonight. If you want to have a look at the photo reference or download it for yourself, you can do so. All you have to do is click on the little icon of my face underneath this video. That'll take you to the YouTube channel. While you're there, subscribe if you haven't already. But then look for the post tab there on the YouTube channel. And when you click on that, the top post will be this photo reference with a link back to this video so you can pick up where you left off. Now, how are you doing, Ashley?
Doing great, Matt. Thank you for asking. I hope you folks are doing well and you're in a festive season as we are between holidays here in the United States, Thanksgiving, and then, of course, Christmas is just right around the corner, just a few weeks away. I can tell because Amazon packages are arriving more and more frequently at my house. I want to say hello to our friends around the world. We've got folks here from Texas, UK, Germany, Minnesota, Ohio, Australia, the Adirondacks, and I guess everywhere else. But we're brought together through the magic of communications of the internet tonight to watch Matt draw an exciting and colorful subject.
Yeah, isn't it crazy that people from all over the world watch this show?
All at the same time.
Absolutely crazy. But we're so thankful to have you guys. And speaking of thankful, I hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving if you were here in the United States. What was I going to say? Did you have a good Thanksgiving?
Yeah, I had a great Thanksgiving. I gained a couple pounds. That's always my goal. You know, I weigh myself before and after and see how I did. I did pretty well. Like you, but maybe I sent Thanksgiving meals several times until it's all gone. My wife cooked 2 turkeys, and then as soon as we were done with all of the Thanksgiving food, we didn't have any more food. You know, she had to go shopping for regular food, and she came back with a huge package of deli meat, and it was turkey. So maybe we could have got more ham instead. So it's still keep that turkey going.
Can't get enough turkey, can you?
No.
Now, listen, the reason why you're here watching this video is because you're interested in drawing or painting, or maybe both. And if you want to dive a lot deeper into drawing and painting, then you can go over to thevirtualinstructor.com, where there are thousands and thousands of videos there, art instruction videos waiting for you. We do weekly live lessons, which are not getting sketchy. We do finished, complete artworks. We've got a ton of courses over there at thevirtualinstructor.com. We do weekly critiques as part of the Members Minute. There's also a year-long curriculum for visual arts teachers. So if you're a teacher and you're looking for resources that you can use in your classroom, that's an excellent thing for you. And if you want to check out the program we have over there, there is a QR code on your screen. You can scan that and it will take you over there, or you can look for the link in the description below, and that will also take you over there as well. But right now, we're ready to create some art here on Gettin Sketchy. I hope you are. Are you ready for me to switch over?
I'm ready to watch you sweat under the lights.
I'm procrastinating a little bit. I'm a little worried about this. I'm always worried about it, but I'm using so many different mediums, and I'm using a medium that's kind of a slow medium, which is watercolor pencils. But I'm doing this for you because you guys ask for watercolor pencil for Gettin Sketchy.
And requests.
We've never done watercolor pencils on Gettin Sketchy before. So this is the first tonight. So let's go ahead and switch over, and we'll get into it. All right. So over here on the left here, we've got our photo reference we're going to be working from tonight. It looks like it's simple, but it would be simple if it didn't have all those growths on the top there. I'm not really sure what
like
those things are.
Fungus has fungus.
Yeah, a fungus has fungus. Anyway, this is going to be a little bit of a challenge because of all that fungus on the fungus, although we have a pretty simple shape to work with. I'm going to be working on, this is Stonehenge 140-pound cold-pressed watercolor paper, and this is a watercolor block. So a watercolor block is basically a stack of paper that has been adhered on all four sides, and there's a little tiny, you can't see it, it's off the screen, but there's a little tiny opening up there where you can stick a knife in and you can pull or pry the paper away from the block once your painting is done. And the benefit to working on a block like this is that it keeps your paper pretty flat during the process. So when we use watercolor, of course, the paper sometimes ripples and bubbles, and we tape it down a lot of times to prevent that. But the watercolor block kind of keeps everything in shape.
It helps.
I'm going to be starting things out with just a graphite sketch here. I think this might be HB graphite inside of it. I have no idea. It's been a while since I've changed it. I'm going to be using Derwent watercolor pencils. Here's a look at the tin here that I'm going to be working with. Here is one of the Derwent watercolor pencils. Watercolor pencils are an interesting medium because, you know, they're not... Well, I guess it's watercolor encased in wood.
Yeah, it's like dry watercolor.
Yeah, the way we use it is we apply the pencil first, and then we activate it with water using a brush. So I'm going to be using, I've got I pulled 3 brushes over here. I thought I had a 4th brush, but it looks like I'm going to be using some pretty fat brushes for this. I've got a number 6 round brush, number 4 round brush. These are both Grumbacher Golden Edge brushes. And then I have this Royal and Land Nickel number 4 brush here. So here's a good example of what we talk about all the time here. Look at this.
Number 4s.
Okay, so both of these brushes are number 4 brushes, but look at their tips. They're similar, but they're not exactly the same.
Royal Land Nickel looks a little wider and longer.
Yes. So that's why, you know, when people ask what number brush you're using, it's really only relevant if you're using the same brand of the brush. So, you know, there's a range of what these little numbers mean from manufacturer to manufacturer. And here's a good example of it. Didn't mean to do that, but that happened. I also have some watercolor, which is off screen here. And might be showing you my palette later, but I've got some watercolor, but I also have some gouache too. So we might be using some gouache here at the end too. So I've got all kinds of materials here. That's why I'm nervous. A lot of stuff to do here.
You got 3 media, but they're all sort of the same media at the same time. So.
Yeah, that's true. They're all the same media, just different ways to deliver it on the surface. Edie asked, can you wet the pencil tip or will that damage the pencil? No, absolutely you can do that. That's one of the techniques for applying watercolor pencils. And if you want to know more specifics about the techniques of using watercolor pencils, I do have a lesson over on the website, virtualinstructor.com, on how to use watercolor pencils. And that is a free lesson, so you can go check that out. And I cover all of those things there, Edie, about wetting the pencil, putting the pencil in water, or an area that you've already put water down. So there's lots of different ways that you can apply the watercolor pencils. That doesn't help very much there, Jen, telling me that this is very ambitious. Doesn't help with my nerves. Originally, my picture plane here measured 8 inches by 5 3/4 inches, and I quickly realized that there was no way I was going to come close to finishing an image if I went for that size. So the final size that I'm working with, one of the smaller ones I've done here, this is 4 inches by 5.5 inches. So a pretty small picture plane, and there, perfect timing for Terry's question there, asking what size are you doing? All right, let's see. I think I think we're ready to go.
I think so.
All right, so my plan of attack here is the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sketch out the contours very lightly with the graphite pencil. Then I'll start applying the watercolor pencils. Then we'll do some activation. And then we'll see what happens from there. All right, so let's go ahead and start the timer, 45 minutes on the clock. So the first thing I'm going to do is figure out where the top of the mushroom needs to be. And I'm looking at the top of the picture plane to figure out where the top needs to be. And it looks like in the almost the dead center, maybe just slightly above the center of the picture plane is where the bottom of that top is going to be. And so we'll go ahead and start kind of lightly sketching that out here. And I'm using those two reference points, the bottom of the top and the top of the top. And then I'm also looking at the edges of the picture plane here to see how far out I need to go. And of course, this is an organic subject, so it doesn't have to be an exact replica. I'm going to give it a little bit of character there, so make sure all the little bumps and things that happen there are recorded. All right, now I'm going to look at where the bottom of the stem ends up, and that's about right here, and it comes up, and we're going to see how far out on the edge the stem goes, and it looks like it's probably about right there. So I'm going to just drop down to where the bottom of the stem would be, and it kind of comes in at a little bit of a slight angle. So we'll bring that in at just a little bit of a slight angle. And then on this side, it is definitely a little bit further in than that. So this is kind of a long, skinny little stem here.
It's a very upright mushroom.
It is. It's grown very well. It's done a good job growing. All right, now we have all these little things of life around it.
Moss.
Moss. Some call it moss. I call it things of life. So that kind of comes down about right there. And I'm just going to put a few marks to kind of indicate its organic nature there. And some of the overlapping that happens here. Of course, this doesn't have to be.
Now, this image is very
exact.
bright. Did you enhance the intensity of color?
I did, yeah, okay. I did. I enhance almost every image and crop and all that stuff. This image is cropped too and changed a little bit. Not with AI, although that would be okay.
With your brain in a program.
Yeah, right. I used the AI in the program.
That's right. It's all built in now.
In Photoshop. All right. I am going to actually draw some of these little warty things on here.
Those warty things are remnants, Matt.
Remnants.
That's right. I think it was Buddy maybe that helped us out with what those are.
Remnants of what?
Remnants of a more of a protective shell that has now broken apart as the mushroom has expanded. So think of it kind of like
wow, that's interesting.
That's what they're a remnant from their original casing of the mushroom's bulb.
I'm gonna
I
give
don't know
this.
if it's a bulb, but he also asks. She says, "I really benefit of your explanation about how you actually sketch out subjects." Yeah, it's nice to kind of just talk through it a little bit and hear, the types of thoughts a person is having. In this case, that Matt has, while he tries to figure out where all of these contours land in the picture plane. And he used the picture plane for a lot of that. And then he used what he started with, which was the top of the mushroom, to make more comparisons to help him, place the stem under that top.
It's all about points of reference in the beginning stages. So you find or create a point of reference, and then you work outward from there. All right, so these remnants here, they get a little closer together as they get closer to the bottom. So I'll keep that in mind. I'm not going to draw every single one of these exactly how they are. I'm just going to kind of create an irregular pattern that is similar to what we see on the mushroom itself. And I debated actually coloring the entire mushroom first with watercolor pencils and then just painting over the top with gouache. And that is definitely one way that you could do this, but I was a little bit afraid about drying times.
I was going to ask if you have your hair dryer.
I have my hair dryer here. I hope it still works. It should work. And hopefully we won't have to use the hair dryer. So I'm going to bounce around in this image and let areas dry and work in areas that are not wet. So we'll see how that goes. But,
all right.
You could definitely do what I said, cover the entire thing with watercolor pencil applications and activate those, and then come back with gouache over the top. But I think I'm going to try to avoid these little open areas if I can. These remnants, they're not open areas, these big old remnants that are on here.
Katharina says you have so much room in your heart.
Oh,
so nice.
That is so nice, but that's very sweet.
Yeah, I like that.
I don't know what to say to that. Mushroom. And I don't know what type of mushroom this is.
Buddy says in German that would not make sense. It doesn't make sense to me either. No, I'm just kidding.
Ashley knows how much room I have in my heart.
He's like the Grinch.
It's not much
at the beginning of the show, No.
And just keep in mind, if you're drawing your own, this doesn't have to be exactly the same. You definitely could spend all your time in life
count those little speckles,
trying to replicate it exactly, but that doesn't sound very appealing to me.
Katharina adds, "You're a fun guy."
Oh, those are good.
Yeah, let them begin. Okay, Charles, he says you can use some sort of a masking fluid for the white spots. That's true. That would be another way to go.
You could do that, but in the amount of time that we have for this.
Charles, you can use masking fluid. You can use Matt can't use masking. There's no room in his heart for masking fluid.
Right. Yeah.
Or his clock.
The gouache would cover it, though. The gouache will work. And I'm going to, some of this is going to bleed over the top. So I'm thinking of a kind of a darker purpley background, which will apply with the watercolor. All right, let's go ahead and we'll lighten this up just a little bit. I'm just going to roll over the top of it with my kneaded eraser, and that lifts the graphite up and leaves us with a lighter version. Hopefully you can still see that. I can still see it. A little trick there with the kneaded eraser. All right, so the first color we're going to grab here is, let's see. We're going to start with a little bit of deep vermilion, and we want a little bit of a purpley color in there too. So how about some Crimson Lake and maybe some Rose Madder in there.
Classic pigments.
A little bit of orange in there too. Some Scarlet Lake. All right, so we'll start with the deep vermilion. This is going to be our base color. And we're just going to start applying it with fairly heavy texture here. And we've got a little bit of a highlight right here. A little bit of a lighter purpley area. So we'll very lightly put down a little bit of the Rose Madder here. And you don't have to, if you're using a different brand, you might have different colors. That's fine. You don't have to use the same colors as me. Be creative with this. You can be very inventive with the colors that you use. I'm using kind of a lighter touch there for the highlighted area. Let's go back to the deep vermilion. Go ahead and bring that up a little bit higher here. Just avoid the areas of the remnants. Let's bring a little Scarlet Lake in here. See how that's a little bit different. It's not that much different. It's a little bit more orangey.
And he says this is a toxic mushroom.
Oh, is it?
Be afraid to touch it. Yeah,
Keep layering
you never know
these colors here.
till you eat one.
And I'm putting pretty heavy pressure outside of this area of the highlight. And you'll see when we apply the watercolor or the water and activate this, how intense the colors gets.
That's something you have to get used to, I think, with watercolor pencils. Is the water seems to increase their intensity because the little white speckles, which optically dull the color, disappear. Enrique wonders if there's a black watercolor paper where he could paint this. And you've got some experience painting with watercolor on black.
I do, and I would use gouache on watercolor paper. Oh, on black watercolor paper. Gouache is what you want to use.
Who made the black watercolor paper that you used? Do you remember?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
But it is out there. It exists.
It is. I think it's Strathmore.
Okay. Air in the Garden says this mushroom is slightly less toxic than that blue marker that I used that one time. Yeah, that was a dangerous marker. Any marker in a metal casing, stay away from it.
Okay, so I'm mixing in a little bit of the Crimson Lake and the Rose Madder in here as well. Hoping these colors will kind of blend and move together and create a little bit more variety in the color. The deep vermilion is our kind of our base color here.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of a red-orange.
Well, it's going to be more red than you would expect when it's activated there.
We got a few folks seconding your mention that Strathmore makes a black watercolor paper, and looks like maybe also Stonehenge does as well.
Yeah, I can't. I'm pretty sure that what I have is Strathmore. I'm not sure. I actually considered working on the black watercolor paper tonight and using gouache with a different subject, but I didn't see how I would be able to finish that one. That one was more complex. Maybe we'll save that for a lesson or a course or something like that. Okay, so as we work down here in between the remnants, we're going to be careful and just leave a little bit of space. You can see just how much time this is already taking in just a small little area.
Yeah, colored pencil is a slow medium, even when it can be activated with water. That just means you have to add a step. True. But then you can also, depending on how you're using it, you can move it around beyond where you've actually applied it. So it could be a time saver as well, depending on your subject and how you're using it. Like, Matt, I guess you could use a little bit of color just along the edge of the stem and then work it over to create that a subtle gradation. It lets us know that the stem is a cylinder.
Hey, I'm planning on doing that.
Excellent.
You saw my little postage stamp test here.
Yeah. Matt was testing out his the materials to see how they work together with just the smallest, cutest little drawing I've ever seen.
It is literally an inch by an inch.
It's not any bigger than your thumbnail. It is a thumbnail.
Right.
So,
and that's when I realized there's no way I'm going to finish this.
After 50 minutes in on his 1 inch drawing, he's like,
"Oh no,
1
inch by 1 inch drawing.
I've made a mistake."
Tonight we're doing the Square of Patience. Those of you who are members and have taken the realistic pencil drawing, you know what I'm talking about. The realistic pencil drawing course, the Square of Patience. If you actually did that exercise, which is an important learning exercise.
I did it.
You did the square of patience?
Yeah, I did, because I loved the idea. And so I wanted some of my students that rush through things to do it as well.
Oh, you did it in your class?
Yeah.
Did they know what they were drawing?
No, I picked out something that had a couple different pattern, or like a pattern, a texture, some different values in there.
If I was still in the classroom, I would love to do that with one gigantic drawing and give everybody like a little piece.
Yeah.
And nobody know what it is. All right, I'm looking for a little bit of indigo blue. Where can I find some indigo blue? Anybody have any indigo blue out there? Let's see if this is indigo blue. That's Prussian blue. Here we go, indigo. All right, so for my shadowed area over here, I'm gonna put a little bit of indigo blue, and we're just gonna create a little bit of a shadow.
Excuse me if you heard that.
Create a little bit of shadow with blue right over the top. This is, pre-activation here.
Buddy says the square of patience took her hours, and it was so great. And she remembers that lesson anytime she realizes she needs to be patient.
That is one of the major keys to creating realistic drawings. Major is that you have to work slowly. You have to learn to work slowly. Mm-hmm. And when you just give yourself the freedom to take your time and work slow, boy, it's amazing what you can create. Take breaks when you need to, do all the stuff. All right.
What a great color.
All right, let's get a little bit of...
It's starting to feel really round in there now.
Next color is Van Dyke Brown.
Medium in the dark areas.
Yes, I don't know if Van Dyke Brown's the right color. Ooh, this one looks like the right color. Which I just threw on the ground. I just threw that color on the ground. So that's not the right color.
Hope you don't need it.
Let's use a little bit of brown ochre down here. We're going to use
the chair that Matt's sitting in. It's kind of tall. It's like a drafting chair. So when you hear about us complain when supplies hit the ground, they're out of reach.
They're out of reach.
That's it. It's gone to oblivion.
It's gone for right now, for sure. All right, so this is a little bit of brown ochre. And, one of the things about working with watercolor pencils is you don't really know if what you're doing is right.
That's right.
Until you activate it. All right, I need a really dark grayish color. How about a brown? Yes, burnt umber. Let's use a little bit of burnt umber down here.
Terry says, I feel like all my drawings are squares of patience.
Well, that's
probably good.
Yeah. Is that Terry with 2 R's?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I understand that, Terry. That's because you have mastered the skill of realistic drawing and painting. You really know what you're doing there. So that is why I understand what you're saying completely, and I don't doubt it.
Buddy has a comment that is along the same lines. She says, why did teachers at school force me to finish a piece within an hour? This way, kids never learn art. And I had teachers do the same thing, but I appreciate them doing that early in my art skill acquisition. They were trying to teach me, they never told me. I think they were trying to teach me not to skip to the end, not to skip to the details too soon. So I feel like I made a lot of artwork that was finished in terms of where my teacher wanted me to get to, but was not satisfying for me. But I feel like that did contribute to me learning to develop a pretty good base in my artwork, to get my picture plane covered and to notice what was, I guess, the big picture or the most important parts, and go after those early. And for me, it was to learn to go after values early and not get worried about or bogged down in subtle small changes in value or details. Now, like I said, it wasn't very satisfying. I would want to keep going on a piece, and they would want me to start a new one. But I do feel like it helped me move a little more, I guess, efficiently in the early parts of an artwork. And then, of course, I had to graduate so I would be allowed and allow myself to push the artwork longer and farther. It's not like that in all art schools, though. There are some art schools that want students to work on single pieces for weeks at a time. So it's a philosophy, and probably shouldn't be used exclusively. Kids and young adults also need to learn to be patient and to push themselves further than they would would ordinarily do. So I think it has its place, but it's not the end all of art education.
Okay, we are now in the activation stage.
Here we go.
So I am adding water here with the brush, and I am making sure they don't have too much water until that application. Just want to have a little bit of water in there. That the less water you use, the more control you have over the color, and you just kind of want to push it around, and you're painting with it, but the pigment's already on the surface, so you're just kind of moving it around, and we'll have to go back into some of these areas and touch them up if we have time. So we can let this initial application dry after we activate everything, and then we can come back and add more colors and add more depth. Granted, we have enough time to do so. All right, so I'll go in here in the highlighted area where it's a little bit lighter, and instead of putting all those little specks in there, like we have in the reference, I'm just going to let this area be kind of a little bit lighter and pinker, and we'll see how that reads. Now it's up to you how much you activate the watercolor pencil on the surface. You can continue to work it until all of the texture of the paper is no longer visible, or you can kind of still leave the textury marks left by the pencil. It's completely up to you.
Mm-hmm. It gives you a little more variety of mark making, I guess, if you think about it that way, using watercolor pencils. See, Catherine has a comment. She says, doesn't working faster keep art more loose? I would say yes, or yes and. Also, sometimes if you're painting, particularly with an opaque paint, I think probably like oil paint or acrylic paint, working with bigger brushes will also help keep your art loose. And even if you're not working super fast.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. A loose painting sometimes does not mean working faster. It means working more deliberately and minimizing the amount of brush strokes you make.
Yeah.
That's how you can create a loose, and I say that in quotations, painting.
So instead of using a tiny brush for small details, try to use the corner of a large flat brush instead. You work with as big a brush you can, and that'll help to keep it loose. And then you may still apply pretty directly and quickly, but you want to take your time with your color mixing, so there's, I guess, measured speed or different speeds for different tasks, the many tasks of making a painting.
And we were also talking about drawing and painting realistically when we were talking about the square of patience and slowing down. If you're creating a loose drawing, then you're not creating a realistic drawing.
It's going to have some stylized characteristics to it, probably.
All right,
you might be mushing together shapes into a simpler shape of light, that kind of a thing, which can look really great, a little bit graphic, and bold.
I'm going to add some little hints of yellow here with Naples yellow. And that'll just add some additional pop here. These little remnants have a little bit of yellow in them, but it's...
Yeah, Buddy had mentioned that the remnants already look colored, even though you have not touched them yet. And I guess it's just because of the colors that are around them. They do actually feel, maybe it's the indigo, little indigo shadows below some of them that makes them feel almost like they're been rendered some already. You don't have any bleeding going on over there, do you? Into the red, they still look pretty sharp to me.
No, they're fine right now. Hopefully they'll stand out against the purpley background that we're going to add with watercolor.
Chunky little bits.
Chunky little bits. Well, I said that like that, but chunky little bits. Okay, this is the brown, adding a little bit more definition of the shadow here behind each one of the remnants. And you don't have to activate everything, so we might not activate this at all. I need
Do you
to
feel
move
like
down
the paper
to
is still moist around them?
Just barely.
Okay. Yeah.
I can still operate.
Marks pretty bold.
Yeah, I can still operate around here, and it's not really bleeding. This area down here is still a little moist. I want to come back with some more indigo blue down there right underneath here. But let's move on to the stem now. We'll let this top area dry up a little bit. I can't help it. I can't help it. We need to add just a little bit more color, a little bit of a stronger color. Let's add a little bit of orange here, right over the top.
Pumping up the mid-tone a little bit.
Yeah, just making it a little bit stronger. And this red as well. Right over the top. Just trying to get a little bit more depth in the color. Yeah.
I see that.
I must be really rubbing the paper hard because it's looked like it's shaking. All right, let's move down to this stem. Where's my indigo blue? Anybody seen my indigo blue?
I hope it's not. Hope it's not on the floor.
Here it is.
All right.
All right, so I'm going to start with a line right down the edge here with the indigo blue. We're going to make the shadow cooler than what it is in the reference. So it's not going to be a warmer gray.
It looks like you're working with lighter pressure than what you started with in the cap.
I am.
Off the bat.
And then as we come across, let's add a little bit of purple. A little bit of a purpley color here. How about Red Violet Lake? Get a little purple. And bits of some remnants coming down there. Not to be confused with the remnants on the on the mushroom there. And let's add just a little bit of burnt umber here, right underneath here. So it should make it nice.
Neutralize the color a little bit.
Yeah, make it a little bit more like a shadow. And a little bit more of the indigo here. All right, let's give that an activation.
All right, I'll be anxious to see how the intensity or value changes with a little bit of water, since you've got more white showing through this application. Oh, yeah, look at that. Strong. All right, we have a super chat, Matt. This is from Sonia.
All right. Thank you, Sonia.
Thank you so much. She says, are loose paintings more valuable or desirable than realistic ones? Should artists strive to paint looser? Sonia, I think it's a matter of taste. I appreciate both. I love John Singer Sargent's artwork, and he was very both accurate and loose at the same time in a lot of his subject matter, particularly the way he painted jewelry and glasses in portraits and things like that. Very, very loose marks or strokes, if you can even call them that. Sometimes they were just squiggly blobs of paint that came together to look like super fine jewelry. And it's a little dazzling sometimes to see that illusion happen in what appears to be such an effortless way with those loose passages in artwork like his. At the same time, you can't take anything away from the artwork of M.C. Escher, which is extremely, I don't know if it's realistic because he was a printmaker. He was working with a lot of woodcuts and linoleum block cuts, but it was just so tight and planned and refined. So two different artists, two different approaches, but they both knew what they did well, and they kind of stuck with that. So I wouldn't say that one's more valuable than the other necessarily, but desirability is in the eye of the beholder here.
Yeah, I agree with what Ashley said. All right, we're going to let this dry up a little bit, and then we're going to come back to it. But for now, let's go ahead and move down to these things of life. I can
tell you that one of the teachers that I had, who was, in my estimation, a really great painter, his artwork started extremely loose, but he would just work it and work it and work it for weeks until it was very refined and accurate, but the paint was so thick and chunky, it almost looked like the remnants on that mushroom cap, just little blobs of paint clustered all over the place. So many layers and changes. But he worked loosely. He just did it for so long that his artwork had a really unique quality to it. And in some ways, it was kind of the best of both worlds. And of course, he was the artist that taught me, at least with oil painting, to use the biggest brush that I think I could possibly get away with all the time. And then that was one of his, part of his process.
Putting pretty heavy pressure down here, and just kind of making these things of life appear. And using a couple different greens. This green is a May green. And then I also have olive green. That kind of acts as like a medium to dark value. And then I have a cedar green. It's a really dark one. Just going to put little bits of these color down here.
Need some dark marks down there.
And then I'm also going to put some brown in there too. How much time we've got? 11 minutes. Wow. It's going to be under the gun here. Big surprise.
Well, I think that late in the drawing, the quality of watercolor pencils are going to save you. Like in your background, you can cover that space fast.
Yes, because I'll be using watercolor for that.
Oh, that's right. You're going to bring regular watercolor and also some gouache in. Is that right?
Well, I don't know if I'm going to use the gouache now because I avoided the plan for the gouache was to basically cover up the create the remnants.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of avoided them. I could always go back and make this stronger with a little bit of gouache, but I don't know if I'm going to have time to do that.
Yeah, well, your practice, your media practice was so tiny, you couldn't avoid them. I guess.
That's true.
And this is much larger. You're able to work around those
1
little
inch by 1
irregular
inch.
organic shapes.
And here. So this is obviously pretty loose down here. Just kind of stacking colors. Do a quick activation of those.
Yulia says, it looks amazing already. Love it.
Oh, thanks. We'll appreciate that. Switching back and forth between the pencils here. Just trying to make these marks go in different directions, you know, so it kind of makes your mind think that these are this is moss.
That's one of the characteristics of that moss we're looking at. Some of those little strands are vertical and some seem like they pitch downward or completely sideways. So.
We got half of it filled in.
Oh, did we do a cheer?
We didn't do a cheer. Oh, where'd the cheer go?
Yeah, we don't want to leave your cheer out.
Nope.
Oh, right as we were doing that, Sonia typed, "Where's the super chat cheer?"
All right. I'm feeling the pressure now, guys.
8 minutes and 21 seconds.
8 minutes. I don't know if we're going to be able to go back to the mushroom.
Well, it's going to be
We
important.
have to get the background.
Yeah, you have to, because the mushroom is under so much light. There's so much white in the stem and in the those little remnants on the cap. Got to bring those lights out with the darkness. This mushroom, the composition, of course, is complementary, red and green. And then there's no mistaking the balance. You can't mess up the balance of this composition because it is just exploding right out of the middle of the picture plane, very symmetrically. But the value contrast is really what makes it pop. You know, there's pretty much a super dark. I know Matt's going to use more of a purple in the background, but the background nonetheless is very dark. And then there is a flood of light on our subject. It feels like one of those nature cameras, you know, where someone has snuck up on this mushroom in the wild and then, you know, hit it with big lights to capture its native habitat before it runs away.
All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to skip to the background and then come back and activate the foreground, because I think that is an area that could take a while, but if it's stayed in its current state, it wouldn't be the end of the world. You know?
Okay.
I mean, with just these marks.
Sonia wonders, who are the voices in this super chat? It's all of Matt's friends.
They're all me. They're all me. I did several recordings, doing little voices and pretending like I was cheering.
Yeah. So now you know.
It's all me. All the cheers are for me. All right, for the background, we are going to put these pencils over here. Got 30 pencils in my hand. We are going to mix up a little bit of purple, a little bit of blue.
Hey, Nicholas, I see you. Hey.
And let's see. There we go. All right, so we get a little bit of the purple. And a little bit of Windsor blue, green shade. and a little bit of black.
All right, so there's a little black in there. Knock it back a bit. You can still see the color when Matt swishes through the paint on the palette, though.
Work quick here to get this on here. We want a little bit more purple in that.
There's a healthy amount of water in the mix, but the color's still intense. Buddy wonders, where did you get this fantastic palette? She believes hers is a very poor palette.
The fantastic world of the internet. Probably Amazon.
And does it have a lid? Did it come with a lid that you can use for more palette space?
It does have one of those. So I'm trying to work quick so that I can keep this wet so that I can get all the way to the bottom here. Kind of a consistent application.
Frankie says, when you use a reference to create a work, at what point does it become yours? Well, the artwork is yours, and the artwork is always going to be, the reference run through the filter of your own mind. So I think that that you can definitely claim ownership to the result. And then, for example, for this reference, Matt cropped it and adjusted the maybe some of the color and maybe some of the values as well. So it's been modified as in addition to him choosing it or selecting it. So I don't know if that means it's yours, but it's yours enough to use. You've already started making decisions about what you want your artwork to look like, even while you modify the reference. So the art has begun. PJ Bayou says, Matt, your hair looks pretty good.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I am really trying to make sure that I stay out of frame there, but this
I feel like we get more and more in frame the closer we get to the end of the end of the timer.
It's such a small picture plane that I'm working on, so I feel like I've got to lean over it.
Yeah, sometimes I catch myself. I mean, I do that a lot. You guys know that. And sometimes I catch myself when I'm trying not to look at the screen in front of me and then kind of work, but be looking at the screen instead of the artwork, to see if, or kind of around the distortion that you get when you sit back from it. It's challenging.
All right. We've got 2 minutes to activate the foreground here. Actually turned out a little bit more blue than I wanted it. All right, so let's do a little bit of activating here in the foreground. Different brush. It's going to be quick and dirty. But it'll at least make it seem a little bit more consistent with everything else that's going on around.
El Enrique says there should have another camera angle. There is another camera angle. We just never show it to you.
Okay. I am controlling all of...
There it is.
I'm controlling everything over here. I need to show you how to do everything.
I know.
And you...
Because when I'm drawing, you get all the camera angles.
I get all the camera angles. It's awesome. I have fun over there being the broadcast man.
Yeah.
But when I'm over here trying to hustle and get this done, I'm not thinking about camera angles.
He's like a one-man band over there. He's got a pair of cymbals tied to his ears.
It really is kind of like that. So just a little bit of water. You could see that I can use a little bit more contrast on the mushroom cap if I have time.
Orion Nebula says, I can never manage to get a nice smooth background. One thing that might help you And of course, Matt didn't do this, and his background looks pretty smooth, but it's also small.
I was working as fast as I could to make sure that I kept that area wet so that I could move it. And it's still not perfectly smooth.
If you've got a large watercolor and you need a really smooth area, you should paint that area with clear water first so the paper is moist. And then when you start putting your color into it, the edges of your strokes won't dry abruptly. The edges of the strokes will be sort of softening through the fiber of the paper while you continue to kind of catch up to where you left off and add more paper. So go ahead and pre-wet your area, particularly if it's very broad. You can do it with a wash brush, so it's kind of evenly moist, and then paint over that, and that'll give you a smoother, smooth area, especially when it's a large area.
And we talk about that in the watercolor workshop. So it's one of the techniques that we discuss, creating a flat wash. All right, I know the time is up. Whatever.
I failed to notice myself.
I'm going to go back in here with a little bit of chocolate. Let's try a little chocolate here.
Chocolate's
and I'm going to make
good.
these shadows a little stronger here because I don't know where the brown went, but probably on the floor. Make some of the shadows a little
Michelle
stronger.
says, looks awesome. Bear in the Garden says, absolutely amazing for 45 minutes.
Oh, well, thank you, guys.
45 minutes and counting.
Yeah, and counting. So with more time, I'd like to go in and put a little bit of blue in each one of these remnants. Thanks for telling us about the remnants things. That's fun to say.
Yeah, it is.
It sounds like I know what I'm talking
Our
about.
vocabulary expands every week. No thanks to ourselves. Thank you, folks.
Right.
Jen says, the word moist is the only thing I don't like about watercolor.
The word moist, huh?
There's a lot of folks that have an aversion to the word moist. It's like, I guess, those of us who don't like cilantro, it's in our genetics.
What's wrong with saying moist?
I have no problem with the word moist. I probably use it every day.
You use the word moist every day?
I actually just thought of another example where I was talking to somebody about their soil and growing grass, and I told them that they don't have to keep their yard wet. It just needs to be moist. I think I said that earlier today.
Doesn't need to be wet, just needs to be a little moist. All right, let's make this shadow a little stronger in here. And this area is still a little damp. It's a little moist.
I'm sorry.
And a little bit more color. Anybody see my indigo blue? Here's my indigo blue. The Prussian blue is going to hit me in the face.
That indigo blue is trying to get
where
away
did it
the
go?
entire program.
Where? There it is. That indigo is snaky. All right. I'm going to activate this, and then we're going to be done.
All right.
There's that brush. All right. I know that we've gone over here. People laughing at the moist comment.
Yeah, people are laughing at and making their own moist comments.
I love it. Whenever you tell somebody that you don't like something, that is like an invitation for them to exploit it.
Yeah. They found a button. Just pushing your buttons, Jen.
All right.
All right. See a little color change in there.
It looks more three-dimensional.
All right. Tasty.
Tasty.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
It shouldn't look like, if it's poisonous, it shouldn't look like candy, but it does.
All right, y'all hold your ears. We're going to give this Quick little blow here. Get all the moistness out. So I can pull the tape off.
Electric purple likes the word damp as a substitute. It's less damp.
I did not hear what you said.
Electric purple likes the word damp as a substitute to moist.
Damp.
Yeah, damp feels like it's on the surface.
Yeah, damp sounds like it's in your basement. All right. So this is tape that's like super strong, so it might tear a little bit of the paper off.
It's doing well
if we
so
pull
far.
it away at a 45-degree angle, then
Yeah, crisp.
it won't tear the artwork. Right. That one came off really easy. Well, there's a little bit of bleeding going on there. I hope you guys didn't have to look at my hair too much tonight. I feel like I was leaning over a lot on this one.
Oh, got a little tearage there.
Yeah, this is the tape from, you know what?
Yeah.
It's the tape that is 20 years old.
It is. It
It's
it is masking tape, but it identifies as duct tape.
All right, there's my mushroom there with watercolor pencils.
All right.
No gouache, a little bit of watercolor in the background.
Yep. Gouache didn't make an appearance, but that's okay. Everything stayed nice and crisp.
And you know, if I had more time, I would go back into the cap here and add a little bit more of some cooler reds, some alizarin crimson and things. Because right now it's a little bit of a warmer red, and I kind of want it to be a little bit cooler like what we see in the reference. But I'm pretty happy with it. So, all right. Anything else for?
Let's see. Catherine A says, looks great. And Become AU, probably mispronounced your handle, says, yes, beautiful. Hoot and Holler says, really nice, Matt. And we got a super chat.
All
PJ
right.
Bayou says, this was a great episode. The hair was a joke, love.
Thanks. It wasn't a joke.
PJ has mushroom in his heart as well.
Yeah.
Thank you for that super chat. And yeah, I mean, when I'm doing this, you can't really see much.
It's like the moss in the bottom of the picture. It just blends right in.
But you know what? I feel like I have to show you my little practice here.
Yeah.
My little
Buddy wanted to
practice.
see Buddy wanted to see the postage stamp, Earl. Oh, how cute. Mini me.
What I was doing with this is just, practicing with little colors, a little bit of color to see what colors I'd want to choose. And you can see I was able to get a little bit more of the cooler red in that one, even in that little square. But anyway. All right. It's going to stay there. All right. If that's it, let's go ahead and switch over. All righty, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the last hour as much as I did. I had fun doing this. I really love watercolor pencils. They're just a slower medium, and you just got to work slowly with them and kind of work small. There is a series I did with watercolor pencils at thevirtualinstructor.com with a green bird with a red background, and I really enjoyed that series. And that artwork is actually one that I have framed, put up. So you can check that out if you go over to the website. If you really like watercolor pencils, that is an in-depth series. So you can really see the layering process of putting down initial applications, activating them, letting them dry, putting down another layer of applications, activating that, letting that dry. And really that's where watercolor pencils are at their best, where you're layering colors like you would with colored pencils, activating them with water, turning them into essentially watercolor paint. So it's really, really great medium to work with. Ashley, you have anything else for the folks?
That was a lot of fun. It was a fun subject, and if you followed along, I hope that you're happy with your mushroom cap. Of course, you got as much time as you want, so you can keep working on yours. And B. Como, I see how to pronounce your name now. So thanks, and I'm going to remember that for next week when I'll be doing the drawing. I'm not sure. I thought I knew what I was going to draw a week ago for my final drawing, and then my wife suggested that I save that for a different time in the year, and I think I will. So I'm back to square one, the square one of patience. So I'll figure it out between now and next week, and I'll let Matt know. He can let you guys know what materials that you need to have, so you can follow along for my final drawing of the season next week.
Well, now I'm curious, what time of the year is that appropriate for?
February.
Oh, it must have to do with hearts.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, guys. It's time for us to shuffle things around and for me to get ready to draw with pastel pencils now for the next hour. So for those folks who will be joining me over there, we'll see you in just a minute. For the rest of you, we'll see you next week. Same time, same channel. With that, we're going to go ahead and sign out for this evening. Good night, everybody.